All right, we're live.
All right, and we are live. Final score 45-31, baby.
Oh yeah, 31. I typed it wrong. I forgot
Did
the
I forget
garbage
to
touchdown.
mention? Yeah, did I forget to mention that it was 45-31 Middle Tennessee State? Yeah, this is quite arguably the worst loss that I have seen in Miami Hurricanes football history. It was an absolute embarrassment. Um, there is no way to really explain the I'm literally at a loss for words at how embarrassed I am today for this program, and this is a bad one. This is a bad one. I think that everything that we built for, even after last week's loss, I mean, we just reverted back to just absolute. Uh, I mean, it was a disgraceful performance. Let's just put it that way. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain how bad it was or what went wrong because I feel like just everything went wrong. And I think that this really shows you how far we are. And I know we say this all the time. So this is kind of like at this point, at this point, it's kind of like diarrhea of the mouth, man. Like so that we continue to say the same exact thing with every different regime and how disappointing it's been and how bad the performances have been. But quite frankly, I mean, this is an embarrassing performance from a new regime that this 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 shouldn't have happened, right? Like we're all thinking that this program under the Mario Cristobal our coaching staff is not going to have a performance like this ever. Um, and you saw exactly what we've been seeing for the last 15 years, 20 years, is exactly that. It's tough for me to get out words that I really want to. I mean, I don't want to talk. I don't even want to talk about the play on the field and the lack of execution, the lack of, and and the regression of Tyler Van Dyke and this whole offense. It's a completely different offense. Um, and to be quite frank with you, I mean, it just seems like it's not it, man. And I know a lot of people are knee jerking right now, and we may be knee jerking a little bit also, but I'm inclined to say that we're not. Um, just, I mean, Josh Gaddis's offense is not working, and I think we went to Jake Garcia a little bit too late. He didn't even get an opportunity to really do much, so I can't really say that he made a huge difference in this football game because Middle Tennessee State marching down the field um, time and time and time again and executing and scoring 45 points against a defense that held Texas A&M to 17 points last week. And I know it's a different offense. And, I heard some people in the box, in the press box, talking about how this is a better offense than Texas A&M. I mean, I don't know, man. I can't go that far. I can't say that right now. I can't. There's no way that you can convince me that this is a better program or a better team um, than Texas A&M. So I'm pretty pissed off. At least I get to see like Mark Herzlich walk by, and some pretty cool people walk by here. So that's a good thing about standing out here waiting for Mario Cristobal to go inside the presser. But I'll let you guys handle it from here. I'm going to go inside, but I'll listen in a little bit and try to chime in as I get into the press area. But go ahead, take it away, guys.
Yeah, and just for people in the chat, obviously Jazz and Blue are covering the game. DJ and I'll stick with you though. If you guys want to vent, we'll keep going.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm already getting in front of some of these problems, so I'm gonna be join me in this depression here. DJ, what are your initial thoughts on this train wreck we just watched?
I'm going to throw you some numbers, and they're not going to be pretty numbers, so I'd like you to keep down that beer on stream and try not to throw up. The first three drives of the game, 7 total plays, 3 turnovers. That is not a recipe for success at all. All sides of the football, defense, offense, running backs, wide receivers did not look good today, and Middle Tennessee State, they were ready to play today. They showed up. They were ready to take on the Miami Hurricanes, and the Hurricanes didn't even look like they got out of bed today.
Yeah, I agree. The team just, I mean, we're going to, between tonight and Monday's show, we're probably going to go deep on some of the offensive play callings, what the hell we do with the quarterbacks. Like, there's a lot of stuff to discuss out of this disaster we just watched. But to me, the underlying thing is this team was not ready to play at all. At all. They got pushed around. They were going through the motions. They were going through the motions after they got punched in the face. Like, they didn't wake up really until the third quarter.
No.
So I think that is, to Jazz's point earlier, like, we know the talent's not there yet, but this is the type of thing that should not have happened. It should not happen when you spend this much money on a coaching staff, and when they should at least be ready to play. And they weren't, and that's why they got hit in the mouth. And then at that point, you're chasing the game, and the defense just kept giving up big plays, so you could never really get a foothold. But it started right at the beginning. You jump on that team at the beginning, they don't get up. Once you spot them 21 points, it's like, okay, now you're in deep crap the rest of the game. And that was always chasing it and chasing it and chasing it, and chasing it without any urgency either. Look, I get they want to play some ball control on offense, whether we like that or not. I get it, but you're down 24-3. You got to start going. That drive at the end of the first half, where we wasted half the second quarter to get a touchdown, it was great. We finally got a touchdown, but you wasted half. You're already down 3 touchdowns. You wasted half of a quarter. That's 1/8 of the entire game when you knew you're down 21. You got to play faster. We started same thing in the third quarter. We came out slow. We hit some big plays on Garcia's first drive, which is the only time we hit big plays the entire game. And that was why we scored quicker. But you have got to play more quickly. You got to play game situations. We didn't do that all today. You got to read the game better. We didn't do any of it. We kept trying to impose our will. They were stacking the box. We couldn't get a passing game going. And Garcia was good on his first drive. After that, it was hit and miss. And it's not a reflection of him. He wasn't supposed to even play. It's just this whole team is broken, and they weren't ready to play. And it showed from the beginning of the game right through to the end, when even that last gasp could not get off the field. Let them drive down after Keyshawn runs the kickoff back. You got to get a 3 and out. Instead, they walked it right down the field and put it in the end zone again.
Yeah,
go ahead, DJ. I'm going to be venting.
No, you're good. No, the thing that I hated right from the get-go was the fact that we played like we thought, oh, okay, we're just going to turn it on. We're going to win this game. There's going to be no need to be urgent, no need to run fast. We got this game. Well, we played right into Middle Tennessee State's hands by doing so. They were ready to play. They showed up. They showed that sense of urgency. And, it just really bothered me that we played so lackadaisically. And, this was a problem. You mentioned, taking up on the touchdown drive by Parrish half the time in the quarter. It's more time management problems that we saw like last week at Texas A&M. It's the same type of lack of urgency that's really kind of been embedded in this offense, and that's a huge problem. And the other huge problem is that, we kind of looked at Middle Tennessee State as a measuring stick game. And in this measuring stick game, we had to substitute our quarterback. We gave up 45 points to Middle Tennessee State, and we didn't play well on either side of the ball. So if this is our measuring stick, where do we go from here?
Guys, they had one wide receiver that when I looked at the stats at the end of the third quarter, had 2 receptions for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's unacceptable. That's absolutely unacceptable in a game against anybody. Even less acceptable against a team like Middle Tennessee. When you let those type of things happen, then you know, and just like you said, there is something broken with this team. And I know a lot of people want to say that this is, well, hey, yeah, there's a lot of growing up. The cupboard is bare. Manny left the cupboard bare, and there's a lot of issues. But I don't care who it was or how it is. Something like this should not happen to a team like this, regardless. Because if you go position by position, It was a much better team, right? It was a better team. Bottom
No
line.
excuses. No excuses.
There's no excuse for what happened today. And this is an absolute disappointment, absolute embarrassment to the team.
Yeah, and that second long play they had, it was just a check down. We had like 4 or 5 guys there to make the tackle. Flag missed it, and no one else was even running. Like, this is totally on the coaching staff. This is not a talent thing. This is effort. There was no effort. There was no urgency. I think they just expected Middle Tennessee State to roll over. They expected eventually to win, and it just never happened. And they kept punching back, and there were multiple times where it looked like, okay, can string some stuff together. And every single time Middle Tennessee State punched back. So kudos to them, but this is just embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing.
Middle Tennessee State receiving statistics. DJ England Chisholm, 2 receptions, 169 yards, like Jazz mentioned. 84 yards per catch, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Lane, 4 catches, 130 yards, 32.5 yards per catch. Elijah Metcalf had a 69-yard reception for a touchdown. It's almost like the secondary didn't even, show up to play today. And it wasn't like these were contested catches. These were catches that, the coverage was completely blown, and, you left them wide open for deep throws and touchdowns.
As Ben mentioned, that the guy that had 169 yards had a total of 15 yards this season. 15 yards. And had 169 yards against Miami. I mean, come on, man. Come on.
No, it's a mentally not ready to play. The drop passes. I mean, we'll probably get into this more on Monday when we have a chance to really digest what we just witnessed. But I understand everyone wanted to pull TVD earlier. Like we pulled him after his last bad drive. The 2 drives before that were a touchdown drive, and then the next drive where Redding dropped the 3rd down. We cannot get out of our own way. If it's not one thing, it's another thing, and it's just that is where you elevate it up to the coaches because if the whole team is not ready to play, if one player's make a mental mistake, that's the next one, that's the next one, that's the next one. That's not on. You can talk about talent, but those are mental errors, and at some point, because it would be one thing if we didn't see a lot of this against Southern Miss, but we did. Like, at what point is there a wake-up call? Maybe this is it. I don't know. But, coming out not ready to play, Justice got pushed around the entire game. That was an embarrassing performance as well. We got to – I think in the pregame, Jazz, you talked about Zion moving to the right. I'm pretty sure Scaife is going to guard and silence the right tackle. You can't have it. That was embarrassing. We basically blocked him with 4 blockers.
Yeah.
And you mentioned
that. 4th and 1. Yeah, that's 4th and 1. Not only 4th and 1, but you can't score when you're in first and goal. First and goal down there inside the 5-yard line, and you can't score a touchdown, and you fumble the ball, or you're making mistakes. It's just unacceptable. You can't do that. You can't. And you had the right guy in there. Finally, you had Thad Franklin in there, right? You still couldn't do it.
Well, by default, Parrish and Knighton were injured, so he was the only running back left.
Yeah.
Right. But now you've lost Parrish, right? Who, if it's a concussion, luckily,
I think he'll be back.
He has a week. Yeah, he'll be back. Jalen Knighton, you lost him to injury, but I'm not sure how significant the injury was. He just wasn't running the ball well anyways. You're not going to get John Chaney back for another 6 to 8 weeks. So forget about him altogether. So, now what was your strength? The running game is now injury laden, right? So you've got issues there as well. You saw a little bit from some of the wide receivers. You saw Frank Ladson kind of get into the game a little bit and do some stuff and catch some nice balls when they were thrown his way. But the struggles continued for TVD. Failed to find open receivers. Failed to make good throws. And quite frankly, another disappointing performance by Will Mallory, if you ask me. I know he had about 5. He had like 5 grabs, but another disappointing performance by the tight ends. And I don't know if that's a product of Josh Gaddis not getting them the ball or them just not, look, Arroyo missed a huge block that
Yeah, that was a
on that
touchdown.
swing pass.
Yep.
I mean, that's
On that
again,
swing
it's
pass.
just someone's always screwing up, and it's
I
4
mean,
games.
there's
ago
always
now.
something. Yeah, there's always something, and it's lack of discipline. And this is a team that, Mario and this whole entire staff is known for, having a team that's disciplined, right? And that fights and has a lot of effort. You didn't see any of that today. I'm gonna bounce out of here, guys, because I think these guys are gonna come in soon. But
All right.
we'll see you later.
See you later, Jazz.
Yeah, we'll be with you guys in the chat. I know there's probably a lot of lot to discuss here, and a lot of people that I'm sure are upset one event. So stick with us. We will do the Lord's work here.
We will be your shoulder to cry on.
But yeah, I mean, even, and this is what even like on that goal line sequence Jazz was talking about, where the quarter rolled over and like that 4th down play. First of all, the fact that we ended up in a situation where we have to then try to throw it in from the 2-yard line after we had like 1st and goal and the 1 is pathetic to begin with. But that's another one where the play worked. It's not always the play call. Some of the play calling is dump. Let's be blunt about that. But in that situation, we actually had a 2-on-1 out in the flat. And again, this is his first time playing. It wasn't supposed to play, but Garcia didn't wait for the 2 tight ends to separate. So there was actually one guy who was able to cover on both. The guy who ended up hitting Mallory at the goal line was actually covering Arroyo as well. If he just waited a beat, that guy would have had to make a choice, either take Mallory or Arroyo. The other one's open. But also, Mallory should have caught the ball anyway. And it's just, you can't – after you make 57 mistakes in like the first 10 plays and you're down 3 touchdowns, you then have to play clean after that. You can't then also keep dropping passes, keep turning it over, keep making stupid penalties. I mean, how many plays do we get wiped out on stupid penalties too? So at some point, you had to clean it up and actually play an extended period of good football, and we never did that. It didn't matter who was playing quarterback. It didn't matter who was in on defense. You'd play a few good plays. You'd be like, all right, maybe it's turning out, and then a catastrophic mistake constantly.
Yeah, and Josh Gaddis seems to get cold feet when he hits the red zone. And it was kind of weird because I know that the play that you're talking about, that pass in the flats to Mallory, and to me that was a bad play call because there's not a lot of space between where they were and the end zone, so that creates a tight window throw. But I didn't it just seems like he gets confused, meaning Gaddis, when he's in the red zone. It's almost like he doesn't know which play to call. And I can understand wanting to play conservatively or wanting to establish the run game, but at some point there needs to be some creativity because even Middle Tennessee State, they knew that the runs were coming. They stacked the middle and they were able to get pushback on the line. So there needs to be more creativity in the red zone on Gaddis's part because what he's done, what he did last week against Texas A&M and what he did today against Middle Tennessee State is not working. And red zone failures are going to sink this team, and to some extent they kind of already have.
Yeah, but part of that's also just execution. Like when you watch good teams play, the catch, and it was, I think it was our first or second drive where Ladson, and well, it was our third drive actually because we threw interceptions on the first 2 plays, but the third drive where we had the jump ball to Ladson in the end zone, like good teams catch that pass and get the touchdown. In fact, look at how Clemson beat Wake Forest in the touchdown they got in overtime.
That was crazy.
Yeah, but that's like not an easy play, but it's one you expect good teams to make. And we dropped 2 touchdowns because Dunson dropped one too, or Brinson, on the one where they were offsides. That was similar. We're like, you got to make that catch. Help your quarterback out. Those are both touchdowns. One of those drives we didn't even score on because we went for it on 4th down. So to me, it's just it's fine to say like we need to get more creative. They won't execute it. This whole team is messed up. They can't execute anything. I mean, look at how the game ended. That 4th down. Like, yeah. I don't think he called jump ball into double coverage, landing 5 yards out of bounds. Like, what the hell pass was that? Right? Yeah. I mean, this is like, is that broken that it's making it like I'm certainly not absolving Gaddis or frankly any of the staff of blame. Right? Like, this is a team. It takes a team effort from the players and all of the coaches to play that bad. It really does. So Gaddis gets a lot of the blame. In particular, on the that goal line sequence we've been talking about, Like the fourth down play call is actually good. He got a 2-on-1 out in the flat. It was just not executed well again. But, why are we slamming the ball into a stacked deck on every play right up the middle? And you remember the next
counter would have worked.
A counter would have worked. Go off tackle, get it outside of that box. It's just that was bad play calling. And the fourth down was fine and it wasn't executed well. But again, there's no margin for error here. You
should have never gotten to that point.
Yeah, but you can't call like one or two good plays and a bad one, then one or two good plays. And same thing with the execution. You got to execute it every time.
Yeah.
And so what we've got now is we got a situation where when the play call is good, they screw up the execution. And then when the play call is bad, it doesn't work anyway. So it's just they can't get it unstuck. And in this game, on top of that, all the turnovers is really what ended up, because this is very similar to the performance we saw against Southern Mississippi. Very similar, frankly, to a lot of the A&M game. The only difference here is we turned it over so much that like we handed them points.
That's a really good point. It seems like this team has started off slowly the entire season. And, those first three drives, Tyler Van Dyke, and they were even mentioning it on the broadcast. He waited too long and he was looking and staring down at his reads. He wasn't making quick decisions. And I'm not saying he needs to let go of the ball in 2 seconds, but if the corner or the safety or whoever is able to track your eyes and pick it off, you've locked in on your read too long. So there were definitely fundamental issues that Tyler Van Dyke had on those first three drives, and then you're already in a huge hole, and we're not even halfway through the game yet.
Yeah, and that's the point where then you got to buckle down and, okay, we got to play really well. And instead it was no urgency, more sloppiness, more drop passes, more missed throws. They never got out of first gear, even after that, right? Because at some point you expected a response, and we really never had it. We certainly didn't have it for enough plays in a row to actually like make a comeback here. So I do actually know a lot of people that went to James Madison. A lot of them settled in DC. So if you want me to try and find one, I can get someone to raise their hand. But no one on this stream can.
Nope. But I'm not.
Probably looks like it.
No's best team.
Right now, yeah.
Hopefully Boston College can upset them tonight, but I have a better chance of flying than that happening. So, no, but the thing, and I'm not saying to fire Mario and whatever, but one of the biggest knocks on him that I've heard nationally is that he can never seem to win or easily win the winnable games. And I'm not saying today was or is going to be a reflection of his tenure at Miami, but I could see today why there would be a national perception, because quite honestly, his team wasn't ready to play today. Middle Tennessee State was.
Yeah, and this is so in terms of the overall program trajectory and all that, this is this will matter if they fail, and it won't if they win. Just like, it's always like Nick Saban lost to Louisiana Monroe or whatever it was, but who cares now, right? So
yeah,
and this is not going to make or break his tenure. Just like if Manny Diaz had recovered from the FIU loss, it would have just been, what the hell was that? And no one would really care anymore. But we're in the moment now. I'm not going to project future success and say this is okay, because it's not. This is not okay.
No.
And he would be the first one to tell you that. And it's just, it's disappointing that the team at no point and not just from the coaches, where's the leadership on the team?
Yep.
Like there was zero leadership exhibited by any players on this team today. None.
Yep. They all just kind of went through the motions, almost like, they were in a video game, just, they could press X or the turbo button and suddenly things would be magical and turn around like that. Well, that wasn't the case. And I didn't really see, like you said, any leadership or anybody that really stepped up and kind of took over the game. They all just kind of sat back and were relaxed and kind of not. I'm not going to say they didn't care, but they just showed no urgency today whatsoever. And a team with a leader, someone on that sideline would have stepped up and said, "Hey, this isn't right." And I didn't really see that. I don't know about you, Vish, but I didn't really see that today.
So there was that point where Frierson kind of gathered a bunch of people together. Frierson doesn't even play. So so kudos to him for giving a crap. Maybe we should play him just for caring, because it's not going to go much worse than letting Middle Tennessee throw 99-yard touchdown passes. But like, I expect the players on the field. Sometimes you got to lead with your play too.
Yeah.
And you got Mallory dropping passes, and he's supposed to be like your pass catching threat. You've got easy throws being missed. You had to pull your captain quarterback, right? I mean, this is no good. I will say Ladson stepped up and had a really good game after, we were looking for someone to catch the ball. He did well.
He did.
But it seemed like he had good chemistry with Van Dyke, because once Garcia came in, I don't even think he had a target. So I mean, but that's fine. Like, we had to make that move at that point. So, but I mean, it's just, so hopefully if they practice, I mean, I don't know who's going to even play quarterback the next game, because after Garcia started hot, it did kind of fade a bit. So whatever. But I think focusing on the quarterback is probably focusing on the wrong thing, because if you can't block Middle Tennessee up front, and if you can't catch passes that hit the receivers, and if you can't, get plays to get people open, it's not going to matter who the actual quarterback is. Especially, they're both good enough, generally speaking. And if you're expecting the quarterback to overcome a bunch of mistakes, then we've already lost it. Because like, you need other people to step up too.
You need other people to step up, and you need everybody to be on the same page. And that line really struggled today, and that's what was most concerning to me. This was a line that was supposed to be pretty good coming into the season, and they just got pushed around. And I get that it's not all on the quarterback, but I will be interested to see what Miami does next week, as
they got to bye. So I think
the following week.
Yeah. So, I think the proper thing is you let them compete in practice. I don't think, like, if Garcia came in through 5 touchdowns and we won or something, that'd be different. He was better for sure. There's no doubt he was better, and the team
really
seemed to
stand
play
out.
better. But it wasn't like the greatest performance in football history where he like automatically wins the job. But certainly it has to be let them compete. Let them compete this week in practice, and then after a week of practice, because you got the bye week, you name a starter, and then back the starter, whoever it is. You cannot be like 1 or 2 possessions into the North Carolina game yo-yoing them. You got to let whoever it is play through. But it's certainly, Van Dyke has played poorly enough to not have the job anymore, and I don't think Garcia played well enough to guarantee that he should start the next game. But it should definitely be a competition.
Right now, it's almost like the lesser of two evils in terms of play. Right now, it's almost like, okay, he's not really good, Van Dyke's not really good, so maybe we should put Garcia in. But Garcia didn't really move the needle enough to warrant starting. So it's
automatically starting. I don't think he won the job. He certainly, if you had to pick one to play right now based off what we've seen, the answer is definitely Garcia. Right?
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
no doubt that that's the answer right now. But it's kind of like, if you have 2 weeks of practice, so let them compete for it.
It's just so frustrating to me, because this was supposed to be not a warm-up game, but a game before ACC play where they were just kind of able to have one final tune-up, and instead we have more questions than answers.
I mean, it was a tune-up game. We just managed to lose it by 14 points.
I mean, it was a tune-up game, but we had nothing
by 26 points. That is a tune-up game. I'm sorry. That is.
We had nothing to be like tuned up. It was all like broken down instead.
The end result and performance notwithstanding, it was a tune-up game. That is why you scheduled this game after A&M and into your bye week. Like, this was exactly where you need to be on the schedule, and we somehow managed to get. Frankly, the score was a little bit closer than the actual game. I mean, they were in control pretty much the whole game. I mean, this is not things you want to see coming out of. Yeah. That's not great. That's not great either. This is tough. Times are tough. Basketball season's in a couple of months. We should have a good team. Things are rough right now.
I mean, maybe this will be a basketball stream from now to the end of it. Hopefully, the end of March at least.
Yeah. Well, let's not get too carried away, it's rough. I mean, I'm still a little bit in shock. I think I'm going to be probably more upset about it tomorrow. It's one of those things where you're numb. You're numb from what you just saw. Like, none of that should have happened. And it was just one thing after another, and you're like, this is really happening. And I don't know when it dawned on me that we're actually going to lose, because even when we were down 24-3, like eventually,
Yeah, I thought maybe they'd get it together.
Eventually, you're going to like string some stuff together, right? And it's like, right, no, okay then. Just
And believe me,
unbelievable.
I also follow BC and Nebraska, so I am very well aware and accustomed to this numb feeling.
Well, all right. So we are undefeated in the ACC, so we got that going for us.
That is true.
I mean, more seriously, this is. I mean, if anything, it's you'd rather lose this than lose to a crappy team in conference. But you know, it's not good out there right now. But I guess there's a couple of things. We are going into a bye week now, so there is an opportunity to kind of look at some things. And hopefully make some adjustments and play better. We haven't played any conference games yet, and we do have kind of our biggest ACC Coastal Conference games at home. Now, given what just happened to us, I know some of this is not as encouraging as it could be, but in terms of like things that you can come back from these types of things, even within the season. So it's gonna come down to how they respond. Well, first of all, there's multiple things here, right? We might just be bad. And then, in fact, all the evidence is kind of lining up that way. So if that's the case, then, they can nibble around the edges, but we're not going to show up there and just like beat Clemson or something. We're not good. But, their teams have had horrible losses like this and still won conferences, won their division in conferences. Like, we can still do that, but it is going to take a completely different mindset out of this bye week than what we've seen in these first 4 games. Because what we have seen is a team that is a combination of mentally not able to handle these games. And sometimes it's preparation, and like Ja'Kai Clark is admitting to, sometimes it is mentally not ready for the moment, which we saw a lot of against A&M.
Mm-hmm.
And then today it was kind of all of those things. We got hit in the mouth and then did not respond. And so I think when you put all of that together, it is, it's obviously disappointing, but teams have terrible losses like this and come back and still, put together winning streaks and have a strong season? Yes. Is there any evidence this team is going to do that right now? No, honestly. I mean, to be blunt about it, no.
I'll be honest, Clemson and Wake really scare me. I don't think we play Wake this year.
We don't
play
Wake. So in terms of our schedule, our home games are North Carolina and Pitt are our big home games, where those are our rivals in the Coastal. And then we have Florida State at home as well. We do go to Clemson, which is very obviously going to be a loss. Yeah. So I think what you're talking about then is pretty much having to win those other games, which, as Ben says, like this ain't happening. So we're not winning the Coastal. I mean, let's be real here. But you can see we can string some stuff together. We do have a bye week coming up. Mr. Santana has left the press box.
Yeah. I didn't hear what you guys said, but I heard someone say we're not going to win the Coastal.
Ben, I believe, said.
Well, I am echoing what he said, which is, it's hard to imagine us at this point winning enough games to do that. Gabe, our old friend Gabe from the F1 show, our guest on the F1 show, asked me to pull him off the ledge. So I tried to put a little bit like we're going into a bye week. We haven't lost a conference game yet, but there's no evidence we're actually not just a bad team at this point. So.
I mean, listen, yeah, right. I mean, right now we're definitely a bad team. I mean, if you see the body language and everything from Mario Cristobal after the interview, and I'll post, we'll post video of it in a little bit the press conference now. But I mean, the man was pissed, right? Disappointed.
Well, he can join the rest of us because we're pissed at him. So
yeah,
in typical non-Manny Diaz fashion, took it on the chin, right? Blamed himself for the loss. Okay, he basically was talking about how, everything went according as planned. Practice was good this week. Even pregame was good, and he just basically said, I got to do a better job during the game. And
can I ask you a question? Did he? Please tell me he did not mention the lightning delay.
No, of course not.
Okay, good. Because that's a Manny Diaz move. It disrupted us.
It didn't even affect the game.
No, I know it did. It started like 5 minutes late, but that's a total Manny Diaz move. All right, so I'm feeling a little bit better that he didn't find a BS excuse for what just happened.
No, he didn't make up any BS excuses. He basically said we got to look at ourselves in the mirror, reevaluate a lot of things, and be men. We got to be a man about it. We got to be, we got to be better. I mean, and of course, he does the right thing. And he basically said, I wouldn't be, which might be an indirect shot at Manny himself, but basically said we wouldn't be, if you have any ounce of ethics in you as a coach, you never blame your players. We, as a coaching staff, did not have them ready to play, and we didn't execute. And, we got to go back in and do a better job and prepare better. And typical coach speak, but, he was pretty pissed off, man. And rightfully so, right? I mean, how can you not be pissed off with a performance like that? So I think that, he's gonna probably reevaluate a lot of things moving forward. He did mention that Lou Headley, let's say Will Hutchison, who, by the way, punted lights out punting, right?
Yeah, one thing we got is punters.
The one good star.
We got punters and
2 punters.
Returners, apparently.
Right. But he did mention the report, injury report. Basically, it looks like Daryl Porter. Oh shit! Almost fell. A little bit of a shoulder injury. Doesn't think it's too serious. Jalen Knighton had an ankle injury. Zion Nelson didn't play because he's just protecting the knee. What else? Henry Parrish is being reevaluated, so I think that's the only one that he really didn't comment on. So could be a little worse than positive. Looks like a concussion. But he made no excuses.
What about Tyreek?
For the way we played. Oh, Tyreek was
oh no.
Tyreek is just a bunch of jumbled words, unfortunately.
Crap. That is some time in right there. That is like our offense executing. We got all the way to like a critical point. Hold on, we lost you, man. We lost you right when I asked you what happened to Tyreek. You said Tyreek, and then it went out. Kind of like our red zone offense. It got right to the end and then just didn't execute. And we lost you again. All right, well, something happened with Tyreek. We'll see if we can get Jazz back here to fill us in. But that was symbolic of what we've experienced today. All right, you're back again. We lost you again.
No excuses. No excuses. I'm sorry. The reception here is absolutely terrible.
All good.
All right, what happened with Tyreek? If you can try not to get us demonetized. I almost dropped the F-bomb there. All right.
Now, he basically said, we knew.
Jazz, if you watch this back, it's going to be quite hilarious because you keep coming in and out. We're just like mid-sentence. But
am I out again?
No, you're in now. You're good now. Go for it.
And get the Tyreek update.
I'll tell you what he did say. I'm going to try to talk really fast. No, I'll tell you what he did say, though. Like, he basically, we knew there was a lot of work to be done coming in. We knew that, we were going to have these, we were going to have issues and whatnot. However, it looks like we have a little more work to do, So I think he's, he knows there's a lot of work to be done here. And I know there's going to be growing pains. And I know that, patience is not something that none of us have because we are irrational Canes fans. However, it's tough to say, but we do have to have a little bit of patience because it's clear, right, that what Manny left here was definitely not the best. And I'm not talking about, again, I don't want to knock the players, but it's just a mindset. It's a culture more than anything else. And when you come out here and you let a team like that, move you around and whoop you, at all facets of the game, except maybe special teams. We may have won special teams this week.
Yeah, there we go. We worked on it all week, and we got that corrected and broke everything else.
There you go. So, I think we really need to evaluate, though, what's going on with that offense because Man, I don't know. I don't know if you guys have spoken about Josh Gaddis and the offensive play calling and execution, but there's a lot of issues and there's a lot of things there, that need to be fixed. And someone mentioned the whole Tyler Van Dyke issue as well. Why he's struggling so much. What seems to be the problem with him, and what a lot of us already expected, right? It seems to be a little bit of an issue with the steam fit, and he's still getting accustomed to it. Well, by this time, Tyler, you're a top prospect. You're one of the best, quote unquote, college quarterbacks. Again, there's no excuse for that. You got to come on, you got to execute. And obviously we saw that it looks, right? Again, it looks like Jake Garcia has a grasp on this offense that looks good. But again, we're talking about
He looked okay.
everybody gets excited with the backup quarterback.
He wasn't that great,
okay?
though. I mean,
he wasn't that great. I mean, he was great, but then we lost momentum again because, Middle Tennessee marched down the field, took 6 minutes or 7 minutes off the clock, and scored another touchdown and shoved it up our ass again. So, I mean, how much can you really evaluate Jake Garcia?
Well, I mean, you can evaluate the throws he made and didn't make. I mean, he was lucky not to throw an interception when the guy dropped it. It wasn't – he was definitely better. So, I don't want to exaggerate his appreciate
but
his performance.
Was he good enough to say he's your starting quarterback against UNC in 2 weeks? I don't think so.
No. Okay. And that's what we were talking about earlier. If you had to play the game right now, you 100% start him. But they got 2 weeks.
True.
Let them compete. It's definitely not Van Dyke's job anymore. It should not be.
No,
let them compete in practice.
Right. You need to play your ass off. You need to play your ass off, son, if you want to keep this, if you want to still be the quarterback of the Miami Hurricanes. And if not, there's a guy right behind you that's ready. So I think that, these next 2 weeks are going to be very telling.
Well, I think you let them compete the next week, and then you name a starter so that they have the correct preparation the week of the game.
Yeah, I think that's the right thing to do, and quite frankly, I think Gaddis needs to reevaluate. I'm not necessarily saying his play calling is bad. I just don't think we have the horses to run that type of offense and be successful. Right? We're not Georgia. We're not Alabama that run that type of offense and are successful and put up 40, 50 points.
I do wonder though if some of his leaning on the running game is because the passing game is such crap.
Well, yeah, but look, again, the running game was crap today too. So
right, but the problem is when you for example, the fourth down that we missed and then they threw a touchdown the next play for 99 yards. We got a scheme where they had one defender on 2. Garcia didn't wait for the play to open, still fitted into Mallory, and he dropped it. I don't. To me,
and Arroyo was open in the back of the end.
Yeah, but Arroyo was in the open, but he kind of came open late because Garcia needed to wait another beat because they only had one defender out there. But even then, he still fit the ball in. Mallory should have caught it. But
you should have caught it. There's no excuse. You should have caught that.
But I mean, that's not a play calling issue. That's an execute. But it's got to be disrupting your play caller as well when you call plays that do work and the receiver drops and the quarterback misses it. Then you start saying, "Well, I'll just hand it off because at least we can do that." I mean, what was that reverse where Thad ran into who was it? Brinson?
It was Thad.
Thad, who did he run
into?
Thad
ran into Brinson. It was Brinson.
Yeah, on that reverse. I mean, come on, that was like fucking yakety sax. Oh, there goes the F.
Yeah, that's all right. We're good for this one. I think we've gotten the most interaction in the chat today that we've gotten in a while. So I'll take it.
Well, there's a lot to say today. That's
John
sure.
Mullen, team sucks. Rob Dukes, his play calling sucks. I love it. You know what? FSU is better. Yeah, I mean, at this point.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. They're probably the best team in the state right now.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past them until they lose to Boston College tonight. But anyways.
Danny doesn't have confidence in his boys. Hey, Jazz, we never got the Tyreek Stevenson. We never got the Tyreek Stevenson update. What is his injury?
Come on.
What's the status?
Oh, Tyreek Stevenson had a and he's and so it's a big blow for the.
By the way, it looks so messed up because your light's not on. We can't see your face. We just see an outline, and it looks like you're on one of those FBI documentaries where they don't want to show the person's face.
I don't want to turn on the car because then my Bluetooth turns on and it screws it all up. So, lower extremity injury being reevaluated. So I think we're still waiting to hear. Yeah, we're still waiting. I saw him on the sideline limping around. So it's not like game, so he was fine.
I think your Bluetooth's on.
Yeah, I think it is on.
My Bluetooth is on.
Yeah, we can still hear you. And fade to black. Jazz is doing all sorts of stuff over there.
Jazz is gonna love this stream when he watches it back. But two things that I have in my head, and I want to say them before I lose them. One, I don't think it was scheme today. I think Tyler Van Dyke just didn't have it. And two, I know it's not all Josh Gaddis, but he's still calling plays like he's in the Big Ten. I mean, there seems to be very little effort to stretch the field and an over-reliance on the running backs, and that definitely needs to change. And I understand, he's not got a lot to work with at wide receiver, but I mean, there's still got to be a little bit more creativity. And I understand it's on the players to execute, but this is something that we saw last week, and against better teams in the ACC, this game plan is not going to be one for success.
Well, to me, my bigger issue is so some of this stuff, this isn't going to happen. So
no.
But some of this stuff, you gotta. I always feel like you gotta have multiple pitches and multiple tools in your toolbox. And where's our plans B and C? Even you get down inside the one, can we just quarterback sneak the damn ball into the end zone? No, because everything's in the shotgun. To me, this is there's some stuff that is there's some meat being left on the bone there that really needs to be addressed. And so look, I understand everyone wants to compare to last year's offense, and obviously this is performing significantly worse, although at this point in the season, probably not. If you remember the first 4 or 5 games from last year, the offense was pretty terrible. But I mean, we've lost a lot out of the receiver room. I can't imagine Rambo and Harley would not be helping this team quite a bit right now. And it's not like we had the option of keeping Lashley. He became a head coach. So I think there would be a better criticism here if we had fired him because Mario had to have his guy or something. But no, I mean, we had to bring someone else in, and it was always going to be a different system. And we might not like the system stylistically. And I think there's certainly, I mean, following me on Twitter, so much I was screaming about the pace of the play.
Yeah.
And how we were taking the air out of the ball down 21 points, which is insane. There's a lot to be upset about here. But I'm not going to say trust the process because I hate that term. And frankly, there's no you earn trust. And they pissed a lot of it away today. Right? I mean, we've entrusted them with a lot of money and with this program. And that trust needs to be and we gave it away and they threw in the trash. So they got to earn it back now. And so
I will say that
talk about my city like that.
I will say that a lot of, some of the criticism towards Gaddis on the message boards this week have been the fact that Michigan last year made him look really good by having a really good offensive line and a dominant pair of running backs. So I can see where the criticism stems from. I mean, yes, he won the Broyles Award, but he also had some pretty good players to help him do so. So I do get that angle. Do I think we should fire him tonight? No. But I do understand where some of these fans come into play and are upset about Gaddis. That being said, he is still a Broyles Award winner when there are a ton of assistant coaches. So that definitely counts for something.
And I'm not saying he's not blameless. I'm as frustrated as everyone else. I think it's almost contradictory the way I feel right now because I'm willing to give them time. It's 4 games in, right? They're on a journey. As Jazz said earlier, Manny did not, leave this program in good shape. With that said, none of that explains what we saw today.
No, not at all.
And so at the same time, I am irate about the way this team performed. I'm mad that at no point were we able to get any urgency out of this offense. I'm fine if we're, playing a good team and we're grinding out first downs and moving the ball and it's taking some time. We're playing a little slower against good teams. I'm not okay when you're down 24-3 and you're playing and you're going on an 8-minute drive. Like, I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. And the fact that there does not appear to be a way for us to play not doing that, to me, that's problematic.
Yeah.
And so so that's where I look at this and I say that is not really good. That's not acceptable. Nothing that happened today really was. But when you look about overall trajectory, he's got to get better. We can't just do one thing.
And this is a program thing, I feel like, in the sense that at wide receiver, we're missing 1A in Restrepo and, 1B in George. And now we need to, have, plan C and D. And so far, we haven't found that at wide receiver. If plan 1A, running the football, is taking up too much time on the clock or is just not working, we need to be able to make adjustments and have a plan, B and C. It's almost like we get stuck with what we know and are afraid to change it. And that's something that's going to need to change when we hit ACC play. I'm not saying it completely change things overall, but be prepared to make adjustments if things don't work and, make sure that you have backup plans if things start to stall out because, running up the middle 7 times at the 5-yard line for no gain just is not working, or not getting production out of the wide receiver room when, quite honestly, we need production right now. There needs to be alternatives to the original game plans that we have.
Yeah, and it's also just my bigger problem, even beyond like the fact that we came out like crap, is that you got to adjust the way the game is being played. There was none of that. Defensively, too. How many times can you get beat over the top before you put a safety back? Like,
too many times today.
What in the hell? From the 1-yard line, we didn't have safety help?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, that was not the first time they got vertical on us. And we had all these injuries in the secondary. I'm not gonna name names, but some of the guys that we had at the end of the game were burned in previous games too, and because of injuries, we had to put them out there because we lost Stevenson and Porter. How about giving some help over the top? You know there's a problem there, and how many times do you have to get beat on big plays before you put some safety help back? To me, like all of that is just not adjusting to what's happening on the field. I think Gaddis is really the main culprit in that. We're not seeing any kind of reaction to time and score situations or down in distance even. I mean, we keep throwing short of the first down. And some of this is inexcusable. I think it'll get better. And I think saying it's all on Gaddis is not correct.
Right.
But he certainly should shoulder a lot of this blame when you're the offensive coordinator and your offense look like that. And also the score is misleading because we not just from the margin, but one of those 31 points, one of those touchdowns was a kickoff return. And then on their 45 points, one was a pick six. So our offense really netted out 17 points because they scored 24, but they gave 7 back the other way. That's not good enough because you can look at the score and say, 31 points should beat Middle Tennessee. Not when the offense throws a pick six, right? I mean, not when one's a kickoff return for a touchdown. So it's actually the score actually makes the offense look like it plays better than it did. And it also makes Garcia look like he played better than he did because that kick return's kind of like, oh, we scored again, but it wasn't him. So I think it was definitely better when he was in there, but it wasn't good either. Which then again, there is one common denominator there, and it is the offensive coordinator.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, neither TVD nor Garcia made me go, wow, today. Like they literally played below average to poor for the entirety of the game. And it was tough. I will say this for the defense. It's tough when you're already down, by, 2.5 scores and, then you get beat and suddenly you're looking at a 24, 3 ball game. But still, I mean, and I'll say it again, the lack of adjustments or in-game adjustments definitely needs to change before we hit ACC play because right now things aren't working. And, I'll be interested to see who they put under center, kind of just circling back, because then I think that will dictate the game plan a lot more. Whether it goes with urgency is another issue, but I'm going to be interested to see who the quarterback is and what kind of game plan they run out, because there needs to be changes.
Yeah, I think the way we're playing now, it almost doesn't matter. Certainly, I think they had to pull TVD in this game just because he had lost it, right? But
he's like a deer in the headlights.
After that first drive where Garcia let him down the field, then it was very much the same offense after that. It was moving the ball but not really finishing. Everything was pulling teeth. There was those first two throws he made where Mallory had a big run after the catch, and then we hit the ball over the top where, by the way, it should be noted that all of a sudden Keyshawn's making like circus catches when TVD balls hit these kids in the chest and they can't catch it. And all of a sudden he's like stealing ball. But
I did notice that, and that made me wonder.
I was just like, come on.
Yeah.
TVD's got me standing on the side like, you got to be kidding me when I hit you guys in the chest.
Were they pulling a Herm Edwards to try to get him out of the game, so to speak?
I can't imagine that happened. Yeah. So then after that first drive, though, it was very much the same offense. It was slow. It was methodical. It was, trying to grind it out. It was struggling in the red zone. It was every single thing again that we saw when TVD was in there.
When we didn't need to be or didn't have the time to be slow and methodical, it was just so frustrating. To me,
that's my biggest gripe so far with this coaching staff is that they do not really appear to be reacting to what's happening on the field and reacting to how the game is being played. And in this case, the score was bad enough, right, as we're down 3 touchdowns, but the way that the defense was playing too, it was unrealistic they were going to all of a sudden start getting 3 and outs and we were going to get a lot of possessions. So everything needed to be quicker. And that drive at the end of the first half where we basically ran out most of the second quarter when we were down by 3 touchdowns, you can't do that.
408 receiving yards for Middle Tennessee State. And, you talk about a lack of in-game adjustments, like that right there to me was wow. They turned it into a track meet. And, like you said, maybe you would think that they would put a safety over the top, but again, it was just leaving corners on an island for big plays, and Miami never adjusted to it, and Middle Tennessee State said, all right, now we know what we need to do, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, and we didn't get any breaks that could have potentially swung the game in our favor, but you shouldn't. It's embarrassing to even be talking about this because you shouldn't have to say that against Middle Tennessee, but that long touchdown they had out of the end zone. Their left tackle got burned and held. I can't remember who our defensive end is, but if anyone can stomach watching a replay of that, watch the guy coming around the right side, the top of the screen. It's a complete holding, which is a safety, by the way, in the end zone. And it would have been a 12-point game with us getting the ball back in good field position. It's a touchdown instead for them. But again, it's Middle Tennessee, so it's almost stupid to whine about that. They fumbled a punt. We didn't fall on it. There's certain things where we're also just not making the plays we need to make. It's a team to get boat raced at home by Middle Tennessee. It is a team effort from the coaches, from the players, from everyone. No one should be anything other than embarrassed.
Mark Herzlich was actually kind of laughing about Miami's opening couple drives.
I think that's a fair statement. I
agree with that to some extent. Yeah,
and I guess I can understand doing that too because you're bringing in freshmen right now that you're expecting to be leaders of that team. Are you going to play one way now and then try to convert them over later? Or are you going to kind of set yourself up for success? I can understand that approach, but again, it's also you got to read the game, man. You can't lose to Middle Tennessee. That's the bottom line. You can't lose games like this.
No, and I could definitely see Ben makes a good point because next year will be his first full offseason as a head coach of the Hurricanes. He'll get a full cycle of the transfer portal and stuff like that. But you do that when you test out the team for the future when you're up 76-0 over Middle Tennessee State. Not when you're down like 24-3.
Yeah, and this is a good point. Again, like that's why it's embarrassing to even talk about if we could have fallen on this play here, if they could have called that holding there when it should have been. We're not playing Florida State here. We're playing Middle Tennessee. Like you should not be talking about these things in this game.
They came ready to play. Middle Tennessee State came ready to play,
and we very clearly did not. And that was from the beginning to the to the end. Really, I mean, they ended up kneeling it inside our 5-yard line. Like they dominated thoroughly, and a little bit of back to the drawing board right now. We got 2 weeks before ACC play starts, and you don't. These are not switches that get flipped. I mean, based on all the evidence we have, it's going to be a long season.
I can't wait to talk about this on Monday. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be a good time.
Is it going to be fun?
It's always a good time with the 6-ring Canes crew.
That is true. We'll get. I think Blue might get more heat than we did based after the A&M game.
Honestly, I'll let Blue take the floor on Monday because I don't want to talk about this bleep show anymore.
This was not a good day for the program. Not a good day for any of us. Yeah, it's going to be a long season, especially since we've now pivoted to 2023. So,
on the bright side, I found a pirated stream on YouTube, so I didn't have to pay for this game or pay for a service.
Look, man, we don't need to hear about that. What you meant to say is you legally purchased ACC Network, right?
I mean, yes, yeah.
Okay, so that's what we're gonna say. We had Eric McLean on from ACC Network on Monday, so maybe let's not talk about pirating there. Yeah. Anyway,
fair enough. I'm always known to have a Freudian slip every once in a while.
Yeah. What he meant to say is he legally acquired ACC Network and watched this dumpster fire. All right, so I mean, I'm pretty talked out. DJ, got anything else you want to?
No, I think we covered all the bases. Unfortunately, I mean, there was a lot to cover today, just not in the positive category.
Yeah, we'll try to digest this. We obviously got the weekly show Monday at 8:30. And yeah, this is gonna. I don't even know if I'll be more upset on Monday than I am now. I'm still a little numb in terms of what has transpired over the last 4 hours. But DJ and I will be there along with Jazz and Blue on Monday. We'll do our best to make sense of this and obviously talk about what we do from here because it's a bye week and then the 8 ACC games and
no more breaks.
Well, I mean, yeah, but this could go either direction, right? I mean, this is teetering and could be one of the worst seasons in program history, or there is an opportunity still to turn this around. And teams have come back from bad losses like this before, where you get to the season like, how did Team X lose to that team? And that's our best case scenario right now. So. If you want to be optimistic, you can certainly look at examples of teams that have played poorly against out-of-conference teams that should not be able to stay on the field with them. And then kind of that was actually what caused them to focus and play better in conference play. So
all I got to say is they better be working hard over this bye week.
Well, they took this week off too. So, the 2 bye weeks should –
2 weeks to prepare.
Yeah, they took 2 weeks off to prepare for North Carolina. So let's hope they put a better performance out there. But anyway, we'll talk to everyone on Monday and
Monday at 8:30.
Yeah, still go Canes always, regardless. But it's a tough day.
Indeed.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you guys Monday.